In January 1998, same year France hosted the World Cup, just few months before General Sani Abacha passed on, a certain gentleman sitting on his dining table staring at his laptop in his Ikeja residence conceived the idea of the organization that will bring sanity to a whole lot of shortcomings in the Nigerian legal system and beyond. Innocent Chukwuma, the founder of the CLEEN Foundation, formerly known as the Center for Law Enforcement Education in Nigeria. Well, like a new child that's destined to greatness, it was difficult finding a name to match its destiny. Now back to reality. The foundation experienced several tussles trying to register her name with the Corporate Affairs Commission in Nigeria. This was partly because the authorities expected the law enforcing organization to be owned by the law enforcement. On the 5th anniversary, the team found a creative way around the naming issue and simply picked the acronym CLEEN. Today simply known worldwide as the CLEEN Foundation, it has been recognized as an institution that reminds judicial law and order to play their role wherever is necessary.
CLEEN was established in 1998, 20 years ago, by Innocent Chukwuma, who before then had been a student at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and one of the radical students, progressive students of that time, during the military era that were involved in all the processes, the struggles concerning returning Nigeria to democracy from military rule. On his graduation, he joined the Civil Liberty Organization in Lagos, and in the course of work, he became the officer on the police desk. And in those days, police work was quite heavy during the military rule, given the characteristics of military rule and the role of the security agencies in ensuring the continuity of such a regime.
So when people hear about CLEEN Foundation and sees the strange way it is spelled, C-L-E-E-N instead of C-L-E-A-N. They say, they ask, where did that come from? Which itself is a story about the history of CLEEN as an organization. It started off in January 1998 as Center for Law Enforcement Education in Nigeria. That's where the acronym CLEEN came from, initially to promote respect for human rights and cooperation between civil society and law enforcement agencies in the lawful discharge of their duties in Nigeria.
I happened to have been the president of the Civil Liberties Organization when the founder of CLEEN Foundation, Innocent Chukwuma, was heading the CLO's police program. And he happened to also have been my first acting executive director, because the substantive executive director was in detention. And so Innocent was the first acting executive director when I became president of the CLO. He won the Reebok Prize and left to establish the CLEEN Foundation. So that's about the origins of it. And just as in the general scheme of things, the entire human rights community, pro-democracy community, were working towards the end of military rule and to have civilian democracy in the country. And so Innocent had left the CLO by then to set up CLEEN, as I said. And it happened that I was doing a program for the Nigeria Television Authority. It was called You and the Constitution. And the objective was, since we were operating a new constitution, to to familiarize Nigerians with different aspects of the Constitution. And of course, in one of those programs, we talked about the police and security apparatus. At any rate, whether that was the main reason, but a combination of that and the fact that I was president of the CLO made the then Minister for Police Affairs, David Jemibero, former Major General, recommend me for inclusion in the new Police Service Commission, which was a body established by the Constitution to control, as for a civilian oversight body for the police.
CLEEN is 20 years. It was set up in 1998 to promote public safety, security, and access to justice. And we work in collaboration with civil society, government agencies, and the private sector. One key thing that has made CLEEN to stand tall is the combination of research, action research, and advocacy.
1998 was the peak of Abacha's government, and also the year Abacha died. Prior to his death in June of that year, he had started a transition, his own version of a transition to civil rule program, which was programmed to produce him as the president of Nigeria. If you remember, the late Bola Ige described the 5 political parties at the time that came together to adopt Abacha jointly as their presidential candidate. He described them as 5 leprous fingers of a hand.
One thing about the CLEEN Foundation is that it is one civil society organization that criticizes you. It is, even if they have criticized you, they look for the gaps. They look for the gaps where the problem in any organization are, they can identify. They were very, very interested in security sector reforms. They look for those areas and try to cure those areas. They don't just criticize you for sake of critique. I give you, they did that, and when I left as the principal staff officer, I became the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of Panti State CID. When I got in there, my own this thing is that the police, for them to be very effective, must be able to, warm themselves into the hearts of the people that you're supposed to police. The people are not supposed to be afraid of you as a cop. Instead, they should see you as a friend. They should be able to relate with you. They should be able to, appreciate your needs. And they cannot do that except you treat them in a very decent manner. So I also got in touch with the CLEEN Foundation. They came, had an assessment, this thing. We looked at areas where we could structural changes, some organizational changes. One of the areas we identified was, the capacity of the men. If you have an investigator, then you must have an investigator who is deep enough, professionally deep enough, have some intellect, to be able to investigate cases, know what you are looking for. The issue of keeping people in custody for long periods should not be there. So you put in, checks and balances on how people are kept. And the CLEEN Foundation, they actually came to our aid in making sure that those issues were dealt with. And that is one experience I really cherished, because by the time I left Panti State CID, a lot of those things that we needed to put in place to ensure that the notoriety that it had gained for itself was now more friendly. People were now more seeing a friendly police force. They assisted in that training. They've done quite a lot, prison reforms. There was a time we were trying to take a look at the Police Act. They saw that the Police Act was something we inherited from the colonial masters. It has not been, tinkered with since then.
So one unique thing about CLEEN is the ability to work with government agencies, and also ability to work with civil society organizations, the private sector, and individuals whose rights have been abused. It's not an easy task, but it's something we have learned to do over the 20 years of existence of CLEEN Foundation.
I discovered that there is an NGO that meant well for Nigeria. They wanted the public to benefit from their constitutional rights, which is purely human rights. And every citizen has a right to associate with other people, to worship wherever he likes, and to complain when he is caught, and also has the social responsibility to report if he perceives or sees any crime being committed somewhere that will disorganize the polity. So, areas where they needed my assistance, I offered it because I saw that we are partners in progress. What we want done is to secure Nigeria. And what we want to do is to citizens to appreciate the need to become security conscious and be part of security provision and administration.
But I think that what CLEEN has done is that it has tried to point out areas where the police can do better, even within the constraints of the political and I think also it's important for us to recognize that even though the police is under a political direction, it doesn't mean to say that the police themselves cannot improve even within those constraints.
When we started, most of our work were on police, and that is historical. Innocent was in charge of police desk, but we were supposed to work across the justice and security sector. That's our, our own self-assigned mission. I think probably one of the few comprehensive work on juvenile justice system in Nigeria was also work done by CLEEN Foundation, and another one by child rights based on the not Nigeria owned by the UN and African Child Rights Convention, another one done by the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies. These were probably the two major works on juvenile justice in Nigeria until the Child Rights Act. There hasn't been evaluation, a lot of evaluation done by CLEEN Foundation after the Child Rights Act.
What was the face of government to most people? Well, it was the police. That's the police they dealt with every day, and sometimes not in a very positive way. And of the groups that we looked at that time, most of them came out of the opposition movement and continued to have an oppositional approach to human rights. But there was one organization that was different, and that was an organization called CLEEN, where wanted to work on from both the inside and the outside.
Well, CLEEN Foundation is one of the oldest human rights organizations that the foundation have been supporting. Probably up to about 15 years or so, we have been supporting the foundation. We have been supporting their work, especially around policing, which is the hallmark of their work. I think that our work with the CLEEN Foundation have been primarily because of the emphasis that they put around the supply side of security provision in Nigeria. There are many civil society groups and organizations in the country. Some of them are more involved in like the demand side of it. So a lot of advocacy work about naming and shaming and trying to draw public attention to the inadequacies of whatever is happening and other things. But we thought that we would like to support CLEEN Foundation because of its emphasis on the supply side, which is, okay, how do we support the public institutions to do their work much better? So I think that is what attracted us to see how we could support CLEEN Foundation.
CLEEN came with a vision, and the vision was police reform initially, which broadened to public safety security reform. CLEEN brought an angle to, I'll say, civil society work in the country, which is a mix of intellectual work with practice. I am one person that feels that one of the things that CLEEN helped me with, and when I say CLEEN now, I link with Innocent Chukwuma, the founder, is being able to marry academia and intellectual work with practice. Because one of the things he used to tell me then is, you'll get tired of implementing projects, right? You can't implement projects forever. But if you're a thought leader, an agenda, you're researching, you're reading on these issues, there would always be different dimensions to the issues, and you would remain relevant within the sector.
My first interaction with CLEEN Foundation was in 2003. Then fresh out of law school, I attended an event they had here in Abuja, which was centered around improving the operations of the police in relationship with the communities where the police was working. And a lot of things excited me, because one was one of my first conferences outside of Lagos, where then I was living. One was, you know, the number of security sector people who were in the room, the relaxed atmosphere within which that conversation was holding, and the enormous amount of respect you could see that those government officials, security officials, had for the organization. So that was my first contact, and that relationship grew from there. Working then with the Human Rights Law Service, we partnered on a number of occasions with the CLEEN Foundation, working around police issues. Participated in in a lot of their activities, and then when I joined Osiwa, and as the role of, you know, head of the country operations, we've also funded CLEEN Foundation. One of the exciting projects we had with them was the before 2015 election, the threat assessment project that we did with them, where they were able to provide some level of empirical evidence on how people were seeing the election, and which kind of helped our operations, because we realized that 80% of Nigerians then said security issues were not going to stop them from going to the polls. So CLEEN Foundation, they bring an enormous expertise on these issues, security sector issues. They bring an enormous network to the table. They've been here for quite a while. You know, they enjoy goodwill and credibility amongst a lot of stakeholders, you know, in that sphere. And they also bring a remarkable expertise. They understand the issues. They're able to work with people, and is one of the many organizations in the country that you see clearly are making impact. You could see the effect of what they're doing, the fact that they're influencing to a reasonable extent reforms within the police sector. They're influencing to a reasonable extent reforms within the security sector. And they're also very willing to impact their skills and knowledge to other people to help, you know, in strengthening the ecosystem of accountability, you know, related to security.
Yeah, what it tells, in essence, is that if the youths are properly engaged, then they can channel their energies and resources to useful ventures. And then because they now become available for be used as tools to perpetrate violence or crime. So the Institute represents the thoughts of those who believe that an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So the more you engage the youths doing useful things for themselves, because the idea is to get a youth to come to the Institute, learn a trade, and become useful to yourself and to your environment. And once that is achieved, then you find that that man whom you have trained in the Institute, who was idle and who thought he is a never-do-well, or have perceived from what people tell him that he cannot succeed in life, just sees himself faced with success, he can become an employer of labor. And so if he sets up a small industry or a workshop, the few people he will employ will also be channeled towards doing useful things for themselves. And the more you remove idle hands from the street, the better for the community. And that is the whole essence. So it is not because CLEEN Foundation has money or Innocent wants to cut out the need for himself, but it's just the idea of members of the board of CLEEN that something positive should be done, and let it be concretized. Let it be there that CLEEN Foundation is not only making noise, it is also putting into practice the noise it makes.
I would say that CLEEN has a number of very definite strengths which have added to the work that we've done. They've got, first of all, very intelligent, well-educated staff who understand the problems that we've faced in the sectors that we work in. I think CLEEN has always had a keen analytical eye in terms of what needs to be done, which we've benefited from, as I said, in the interaction with them. I think the other thing CLEEN has been very good at, they've been very good at providing the kind of support that's needed, perhaps in some of the communities where we wouldn't normally have access. So I'm talking about communities where knowledge of local language, for example, is important. We work with them extensively under one of our previous programs, working with vigilante groups and working with community groups, looking at control and accountability over the police, and they were very good in terms of the kind of resources they could mobilize to assist us in that work.
Well, certainly I think that there are a number of work that CLEEN Foundation has done, which I think are very critical and very important. One, I think CLEEN in so many ways pioneered the work around community policing in Nigeria, building relationship between communities and police, creating a forum whereby those two actors will come together to discuss what are the problems in communities, in societies, in which case then we can identify what the police can do and what the community can do and other things. I think that is one of the important things. CLEEN also has done a lot of research and surveys about security issues in Nigeria, and I think that have been some of the instruments that have been used in order to inform policy making in Nigeria. When it comes to research, CLEEN is known for its work around research since it came on board. So that is 20 years, solid years of doing research work, and research has been around public safety and security issues. The impact of all of this, there are so many interventions that are ongoing. We are currently also working around countering violence, preventing and countering violent extremism, where we are looking at building resilience in communities, especially around the North Central zone. So many activities are ongoing and projects are ongoing at the moment. The impact of all of this is how do we make Nigeria safer, Africa safer for citizens? How do we trust our security agencies? And one of the core areas for CLEEN is building capacities for the supply side. The supply side for us are those we term as those who will give us service delivery in policing. And one of our core partners is the Nigerian Police Force and other security agencies. So our interventions have been sort of seeing how we can support each of these agencies to deliver their mandates. Again, when we talk about accountability, again, we are working with agencies such as the Police Service Commission to see how it can effectively play its role in terms of overseeing the Nigerian Police Force and upholding the rights of citizen professionalism whilst on duty, and a whole lot of it. Where we see ourselves in the next 100 years, or where we see ourselves going forward is a global player, we have offices in Cameroon, in Kenya. We are moving down from Nigeria and going into those regions and taking the conversation forward globally.
Well, the truth is that not many people in Nigeria are interested in knowing what NGOs do. Because most people's impression about NGOs is that they are working for their own, to get money from sponsors, to live their lives. They are not even putting from where they drew. That's the impression of some people. And they believe that some NGOs have set up themselves to be able to go head on collusion with the government, in order that the government may want to listen to them and probably settle them in one way or the other, either through appointments or financial support. But CLEEN Foundation is not like that. CLEEN Foundation has a policy that this is where we are coming from and this is where we are going. And it is our interest, in the interest of all Nigerians, to join us in making Nigeria a better place to live in, by all of us being security conscious and being security practitioners.
We are positioned well to be a global player in public safety and security for Nigeria, for Africa, and even for the world.
For 20 good years, we have continued to impact positively, in the area of advocacy for reform of the Nigeria Police Force. We have also been a leading organization in our area of work, speaking in the context of promotion of public safety and security. And looking at CLEEN mandate vis-a-vis Nigeria in the present dispensation, I would say that CLEEN role is actually more needed. Our role is more needed now, in response to threats in the country.
CLEEN has lots of projects ongoing, and our work around public safety, security. We work around on election security, so we are looking at the conduct of security agencies, law enforcement officers, whilst on election duty. So the broad range of the security architecture around an election, we are looking at that. We are looking around civil-military relations to see how we can bring civilians and the military together to the dialogue table and, communicate more positively without fear. We are looking around corruption, so the laws around the administration of criminal justice, how are we operationalizing such law, and beyond that, how are we also removing low-level corruption. We look at corruption within the public space and even within the private space. We've run projects around Stop the Bribes, where we're looking at low-level corruption amongst police officers. Citizens are able to report on such platform.
It may also interest you to know that CLEEN is in partnership with Police Training Department of the Nigeria Police Force. It will be coordinating several training programs for officers of the Nigeria Police Force. And the reason is because we want to see an improvement in the way and manner police officers perform their duties on election day. So ahead of 2019, we look forward to professional conduct of these officers, and how do we make that possible vis-a-vis all the concerns raised by Nigerians against police and the way and manners of officers misbehave ahead of elections, or during elections rather. And so CLEEN is actually, through this training, our target is to ensure that all the officers that will be deployed ahead of 2019 are of professional conduct in terms of what they do, that will help to ensure that will contribute to the peaceful conduct of the elections. So that is our target. And apart from that, even as I speak to you, we are partnering with key stakeholders, the National Orientation Agency, the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room, and other partners with support from the European Union, as I said earlier, on a nationwide scale campaign against electoral violence. And why? Because if you look at Nigeria as at today, yes, just this weekend, how many soldiers were killed, and the killing, it appears it has been normalized. But the essence of this campaign is to bring to our to remind Nigerians of our different roles. As mothers, we have role. As fathers, we have role. As youth, we have role, to ensure that no matter what, no matter how the pressure comes from politicians, from anywhere, that we stand firm to say no against electoral violence. And so those are the things we have, some of the activities we have ahead of 2019.
Again, for years, outside Nigeria, the criminal victimization of CLEEN was probably the most credible source of state of security in Nigeria. Widely cited. If you Google, you see a lot of, on those topics, you find most of the publications are from CLEEN Foundation. One other thing we also we're experimenting with is what is called social investment. Crime is not just something that has no root. It has economic root, it has a social root, and it's important to begin also to address those roots. It doesn't mean that there will never be crime, but a lot of people who are attracted to crime may not have been if they had good access to good education, they got employed, or they have skill. A lot of them will not be attracted to it. They will not be vulnerable. There are those who will still be, no matter whatever you do, will still probably be there for a couple of reasons. So we're hoping that we will also expand to helping young people acquire skills by building a skill acquisition system. And that is what has actually informed the Oluwaka Institute in Owerri. So we see our work begin to expand and say, okay, we've done work in security. What can we do to make sure that a lot of people do not even come into the security web?
So our Local Developers Program, it's an initiative from Oluwaka Institute to bridge the skill gap among the young people in the southeast of Nigeria. We all know that software engineering and technology it's eating up the society. So in a way that we have over 5 higher institutions, and in the southeast we have more than 20 of them. We have over 10,000 people studying computer science and other related courses, but we have very few number of those people into software engineering. For example, in 2010 when I graduated, we just had less than 2% of the students out of 324 people who are called into programming and software engineering. So I had most of my classmates ending up in the banking industry, other than getting themselves into technology and taking up software engineering jobs. In essence, software engineering opportunities and jobs are increasing by the day, but the reality is that in Southeast Nigeria, a lot of these opportunities get to elude us because the skill set is quite low. And so Oluwaka Institute is positioning itself to bridge this gap, get more young people into the system and train them on this skill set, which gave birth to Oluwaka Developers Program. So at Oluwaka Developers Program, we are committed to a 6-month training course to help young people become world-class software engineers and technical leaders.
Which is a social enterprise that was set up by CLEEN Foundation in response to the problem and challenge of youth migration from the South region and then high rate of crime. We believe that when youth are doing meaningful work, have meaningful skills, it will reduce the time they have to do other things. So our mission is simply to attract, train, and support the retention of top talents in the region in terms of technological innovation and business entrepreneurship.
So in essence, CLEEN Foundation had seen this gap and they had come up with Oluwaka Institute in order to fill it. And getting me to fill this role and to help facilitate this like a dream come true, coming back home to help young people here to get the skills and be a part of the new growth in the new world and embracing the new jobs. So So I am seriously grateful to CLEEN and to Oluwaka Institute for the opportunity given to me to live this dream and to put me on a path for the life I want to live going forward.
Yeah, so I manage Atlan Incubation Hub, which is a venture of Oluwaka Institute. And my role is basically to design programs that we can use to support startups. I mean, young people with ideas that are leveraging on technology. The hub is located very close to like two institutions here, Futo, Federal University of Technology, Owerri, Imo Poly, and Nekede, Federal Polytechnic, Nekede. So basically what we do is to, first of all, engage the ecosystem. And we have a program tagged Imo Startup Friday. And the idea of the program is to bring together, people with ideas that want to build solutions to solve social problems in the community. So we do that as a monthly program.
Oluwaka Institute has done a lot, seeing far into the future by investing in Oluwaka Institute, which is the first NGO-funded institute of the Southeast, and set about changing the narrative in terms of technological development and skills and entrepreneurship in the Southeast.
I mean, I think that the CLEEN Foundation has a lot to be proud of in its, as it marks its 20th anniversary. And I don't say that because it's been my privilege to be part of that success. The fact is that the ideas that CLEEN Foundation has brought to the table of law enforcement in Nigeria. So I want to say to CLEEN, do not feel that the journey you are on is one that you should stop at this stage. Rather, you need to continue pushing. You will see results. You may not see them immediately, but those who know that you have had that impact. And that's why, as I said, I think it has had so much respect within the law enforcement community as well as in civil society in general. And I expect that in the next 20 years, CLEEN will continue to maintain that and go on to greater and better things.
So in the next 10 years, I can see CLEEN Foundation getting recognition from more people appreciating what they do and wish to become partners.
Well, maybe in the next 10 years we will be opening a university of security studies under CLEEN Foundation, so that all those their materials and this thing we can be there and we can get a lot of our students and teach them like in other places where you do studies in police administration. I think it will really be a very good this thing. And I think Alimeka can be he's an educationist. He will be very instrumental in that respect. Maybe then if I'm not too old, I can go there and teach some police teach some police courses. But I really wish them very well from the unfathomable depth of my heart. I want to wish Innocent Chukuma, the wife, all the staff of CLEEN Foundation a happy 20th year anniversary. I want to thank you people for what you have done for this country. I want to thank you people for what you've done for the Nigerian police force, for the prisons and immigration. I want to thank you for everything, for your time, for your expertise, for your patience and perseverance. I want to thank you people, and I am very, very sure that the good Lord, who rewards all good deeds, will reward you abundantly.
I think my parting word is to, of course, thank the staff and the leadership and the board members of CLEEN for the work that they have done over the years, and hope that they will continue to play the same role that they have played in ensuring that CLEEN Foundation continues to be one of the very few institutions in Nigeria that has withered through a number of changes, and it has come stronger despite all the changes.
20 years is by no means a small achievement for a private organization, for that matter. founded by one man. I will congratulate Innocent and every staff of CLEEN Foundation who have made one contribution or the other, and all members of the board, whether in and out, for their contributions towards getting CLEEN to celebrate their 20 years. And in doing that, I also want to wish that we will celebrate more years with CLEEN. And I want to see, for how long we're alive, to see CLEEN grow on to the next level.
My wish to CLEEN at 20, I wish CLEEN greater heights. I wish CLEEN many more decades of working around this same issue. One of the things that has worked for the organization, it has not deviated from its niche area. It has stayed true to its course, and I wish that the Lord will continue to keep everyone together. The Lord will continue to bless the management, the board, and everybody that has been involved in bringing CLEEN to where it is today. So for me, to the next 100 years.
I think it's an interesting, it's a great milestone. 20 years trying to transform, justice sector in the country. I mean, I want to congratulate CLEEN Foundation, and I believe this is, the next 20 years is going to be,
My wish is everything good. I actually joined CLEEN from a rented apartment in Afolabiano, number 1 Afolabiano, Lagos. And so that was 2007. And so now we have all our buildings, we are making impact, the desired impact. And so for me, looking at CLEEN when I joined CLEEN and looking at CLEEN today, I would say that God is good. Indeed, God, we serve a living God. And so my prayer is that God should continue to bless CLEEN and that the impact of CLEEN will continue to be felt both nationally, regionally, and internationally.
And so at CLEEN clocks 20, I wish them more years of impact and meaningful impact, and more growth in all their endeavors.
Say congratulations to everybody that has been involved in the growth of the organization.
I've benefited a lot from this organization, and I'm happy to share that excitement with every staff of CLEEN that I meet. So what I would say is CLEEN is a learning organization. So the staff of CLEEN should work here with an open mind, and obviously when you leave CLEEN, the sky will just be your beginning point. I wish them well, and I want to see them dominate the global space, like I said.
Sources for CLEEN's extensive programming still come from a variety of sources, but largely from international foundations and donor agencies such as Ford Foundation, MacArthur Foundation, Open Society Institute, Department for International Development (DFID), British Council, etc. CLEEN is always looking to widen its funding and is planning to work with some domestic and international corporations to develop their contributions to community-based projects. Institutional and core support funding are also welcomed to assist CLEEN's organizational development. The CLEEN Foundation is registered with the Nigerian Corporate Affairs Commission as a non-profit organization, and its accounts are independently audited and published annually. Achievements are as follows. Winner, the Best E-Governance Project 2016, NITDA Nihilent E-Governance Award. Winner, Advocate of Peace and Social Justice 2016, the Limit Breakers Award. Winner, the Best NGO in ICT Development 2016, still NITDA Nihilent E-Governance Award. Our projects include Dangerous Speech Monitor, Oil Theft, Voice Against Corruption, Civil Military Relations, Access NG, Court Cases Digitalization, Stop the Bribe. For more information, please visit our social media handle @CLEEN Foundation or log on to www.cleen.org.